Hey everyone, Cody from CodeByCody.com. I have a quick video here to show you how I'm getting my Apex debug logs to show up in VS Code and in my terminal. So let's jump over here to the desktop and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so the first thing you need to know about this is that you need SFDX CLI installed. If you're using VS Code and if you're doing Salesforce development, I'm sure you already have it. But if you want to check, it's just SFDX, in my terminal, SFDX space dash version. If I could type. If you get a number or something back, it means you're good. If it says something like unrecognized command, pause the video, go install it, come back, and join us again. The next thing we need is we need something that's actually going to give us some debug. So I have this really simple LWC over here. It has one button called labeled "Do Some Server Stuff." And what does it do? It does some server stuff. It just calls this server-side method called "Do Some Server Stuff." Look at our controller here. You see, it just loops through this query of accounts, and it sends each account into the log as a debug statement. That's it. Simple enough, right? So let's jump over to Salesforce and see it in action. Excuse me, I want to take a water break. Too many meetings today, talking a lot. All right. So here's our button. If we click it, it will emit some logs, but we're not watching it, right? So what we've had for years in Salesforce is the developer console. This was one of the only ways to really interact with Salesforce logs for a long time. That in Eclipse, right? Predating VS Code and all this new modern stuff. It does an okay job. You see there's a logs tab down here, and let's move this to the left for a moment, and I will click the do some server stuff button, and you'll see, yep, we get a log down here. If I double click it, it has some lines, right? This is our debug log. It sort of splits the lines up into this table format, which I guess it makes it more readable. I don't like it because I can't do things like, copy and paste like whole blocks of it. If you're trying to really do some analysis on like how long it took things to complete, or trying to find out if there's some recursion, it can be hard to do it just looking line by line. It does have some cool features though. I like the filter. So if I take the filter here and I type, say, account, it will try to find things with account, but you have to remember it is case sensitive. So you have to know the case of what you're searching for, or it just won't find it. So we have this. It's good. It finds what I'm looking for, but if I needed to know what happened between this line and this line, I can't, right? I see it just removes those lines. So if my code was more complex and maybe something happened between this loop iteration and this loop iteration that was causing a bug, I wouldn't see it here. In the same way, debug only, it's kind of just like filter, except it just shows you things marked as user_debug, which that's where you type system.debug, it'll show up here, right? So it's okay. I just don't like it. I also just don't like the fact that it opens up in this new tab, right? And I get my desktop set up in a way that I can kind of focus and stay kind of in my flow. And I like to see VS Code straight on, do my work here, maybe go to the right monitor to click the button and test it. But I want everything to show up here, right? So I can stay sort of in the zone, stay focused. So let's close VS Code. Let's close Developer Console, maybe forever. That would be nice. All right. I love you, Developer Console, but it's time to retire. All right. Back to VS Code here. Let's switch screens. All right. So the command we're looking for is sfdx space force apex log tail. So this is going to get the tail. Tail is, my understanding of tail is like, it's referencing like the Unix or Linux command tail, where if you want to watch a log, right? If you want to watch a file and monitor it, you'd use the tail command. So I think that's where they get this from. So let's go and click enter, and you'll see it doesn't do anything. You don't get any feedback. You also don't get a new prompt. So it's telling you this terminal is busy, right? If you need to do something else with terminal, you got to open another tab or something because this is occupado for now. So let's jump back over to Salesforce here, and I'll see if I can time this just right. If I click the do some server stuff and jump back into VS Code quickly, you probably saw the log just appear in my terminal, which is cool, right? I don't have to open up a new tab. It's all right here. And look at this. I can select things. I can copy things in bulk if I need to. Really helpful. Let's control C. It's Command or Control C to stop it. I'm going to run this one more time, but this time I'm going to use the -C command. This -C argument, and that's going to tell it to give me some colorful output. So I'll click the button again. And if I scroll up here, you'll see like user debug is in green. If you're looking for your sockle execution, those are going to be in yellow, and then some other colors for other stuff. That whatever. So that's kind of helpful. That's one nice thing that we can't do in the developer console, but we can do a lot more than that. Let's jump back into our terminal here, and we'll up arrow to get our last command. The nice thing about having this in terminal is that we can now pipe it to other commands. So if you're not familiar, piping is just, we're going to do a space and a pipe character, sometimes called a bar. And what this says is take the output from the left and put it as the input on the thing on the right. So I didn't say that very well, but you get the point. So a popular piece of software you have on your machine now probably is grep. Grep. Oh my gosh. Grep. How about that? And what grep does is it tries to find a matching pattern in lines that you feed it. So it's very much like the filter command. So if I type, first we'll do a -I argument for case insensitive, and I'll type whatever I want to search for. Let's say account. If I click enter, again, it's just waiting. Now, when I click this do some server stuff, SFDX is going to get the full log, but it won't show it to me. It'll pass it off to grep. Grep is going to filter that to only show me lines that have the word account in them. So that should be all I see. Let's do that. And it seemed to work. And you see it even kind of color codes it for me to show me the term that I searched for. Excuse me. You can also use ripgrep or awk or any other commands that you have available for you. Let's Control C to stop that. And then if you wanted to mimic the debug only, you can just do, take off the -I, and we'll just grep for user underscore debug in all caps and click enter. Now we'll run our do some server stuff code again, and you see we're getting some output here. And this is super helpful, right? It's really nice when you're in VS Code to make a change, run the code, and see the results right here. All right, let's make a change here. Let's add phone to this query, right? We'll save that, Control-Shift-P, deploy to server. Looks good, go back to terminal, and let me click the do some server stuff. And you'll see that we're now getting back name, ID, name, and phone, right? So you can see that in real time. You do notice, though, it does just sort of smash the log onto the end, right? It just appends to whatever your tail is. So it's just something to keep note of, right? If you click this 3 times, right, you're going to get 3 rounds of debug. So don't think maybe there's some recursion. Like you may just click the button multiple times. So be careful with that. Now that's super helpful, but it's still not great. I don't like this terminal taking up too much of my real estate. I can select things, but I can't really search things very well. So let's Control-C that away. And this time we're going to do a different command. We're going to do the same command on the left, but on the right, instead of piping to grep, we're going to pipe to code. And if you don't know, code is like an alias for VS Code. So when we pipe to this, it's going to open this in VS Code. And the newer versions of VS Code, I noticed you have to do a space with a dash at the end. I think the older versions, it's just code, but everything like modern versions, you need the dash at the end. So let's click enter. And you see immediately we get something that's different, right? It opens this tab in VS Code, right? It's showing the standard in, which is coming in from our pipe. So now if I click some server stuff, right? Now I'm getting the debug log in a VS Code tab, which is nice. I can still select things, but look, now I can command or control F to search for things. So I can search for account. And now not only do I find all my accounts, but I can see what happened in between those lines. Excuse me, time for a water break. Okay, cool. You can also combine these things. Look, if we did, if we sent pipe from SFDX Apex log tail to grip user debug, and then grip that to code, if I can spell grip right. How about that? Now, when I click the do some server stuff, it should maybe only going to give me, let's see, why did that not work? Let's try that again. Okay, so Control C. So normally it should not be a problem to pipe to multiple things at once. Let's try that one more time. Maybe you can't do what I'm trying to do here, but give it one more shot. Okay, well, live demo fail. Apparently you can't do that. So ignore that part. But the fact still remains, like we have this showing up in a VS Code window. That's super helpful. So let's cancel this. Before I do that, one thing to note: this is kind of volatile, right? I could like save this file, but it's really not meant to be. It's meant to be when you close it, it just goes away, right? So we lost that, right? What if we need to save this though? What if we need to save our logs? You can, instead of piping, you can do what's called a redirect. So instead of the pipe symbol, if you use the greater than, this will redirect your output to some file. What I like to do, if I'm in a SFDX project, let's first collapse everything. I like to create a folder in the root of my project called logs. And you'll notice that it's gray. That's good. You want that. If it's not grayed out, it means that your get ignore is not ignoring it. And if you try to commit this, you could accidentally push your logs into source control, which they shouldn't be there for many reasons. If it's not gray, if you just add this line here, logs, it should ignore that folder. As a precaution, you can also add the *.log. So any file that has a .log extension, regardless of where it's at, won't get committed to source control. So just a note on that. So now what we'll do here is we'll say force apex log tail, and we're going to redirect that to logs. Oops, not there. How about down here? Logs slash let's do apex.log. And you don't have to worry about creating this file. It will create it for you. When I click enter, we go to our logs, it's already here, right? And we could open that file up and just let it sit here. I don't like that. Let's do that. All right, now if I click the do some server stuff, there we go. Took a few seconds. It shows up here, and because it has a .log extension, Salesforce is, I'm sorry, VS Code is color coding it. I'm not sure if it's native or if I have a plugin to do that, but there's lots of extensions that will sort of make a log look prettier. But again, now I have the ability to search everything I did before, except this file is saved now. If I close it, it's there forever. Even if I cancel my command down here, it's still going to show up. And again, just like when we were doing this directly in our terminal, if I click the button again, if you watch my mini map here, it will, there we go. It just adds the logs to the bottom, right? And it'll keep adding logs and adding logs and adding logs. If it ever gets too full and you just need to restart, Control A, backspace, save, do it again, and it's just going to keep adding new logs until you're done. So, so that's it. I mean, I hope this was helpful, and hope you got something out of it. My last log didn't show up there, but oh, there it goes. I hope you got something out of it. If you have any suggestions on how to make it better, any comments, anything else, I'd love to hear about them in the comment section. I'm also going to add a URL to my blog post about this. We're going into a little bit more detail if you're interested. So if you want to check that out, I really appreciate it. You know, it's YouTube. You know how YouTube works. You know, subscribe, the bell, all that jazz. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.